And yesterday, the Environmental Protection Agency, under the leadership of Secretary Lee Zeldin, proposed a repeal of its longstanding, quote, endangerment findings. The EPA's website says the findings have underpinned what it claimed are overly burdensome environmental regulations on the transportation industry ever since, from tailpipe emissions to electric vehicle mandates. We'll be talking about this with Lauren Fix, automotive expert, and with Car Coach Reports, as well as Gregory Wrightstone. He's a geologist and executive director of the CO2 Coalition. Thank you both so much for joining this morning. Lauren, starting with you, what do you make of Secretary Lee Zeldin from the EPA's proposed repeal of this '09 endangerment findings?
Well, Lee Zeldin and Chris Wright have made this big proposal. This is actually a very positive, not just for the auto industry, but for consumers. There's a lot of burdensome additional expenses that have been put not just on cars, on the industry and on the economy, over $1 trillion of impact. And although we all want clean air, so there's no one here that's saying we want dirty air, we have to realize that a lot of this was put in place under Biden and under the Obama administrations. There were regulations that had really not a lot of support behind it, but it was about control and like things like start-stop technology, which consumers hate. And I've actually reached out to every single car brand, asked them, are they going to remove it? And they're all waiting for this EPA regulation to go into place, the 45-day period where they're going to allow for public comment, consumer, not just the consumers, but the industry. Once all the comments are in, 45 days down the road, we hope that this can be turned away and removed, because what will happen is consumers will then have more choices. There won't be an electric vehicle mandate, and California will not be able to tell the rules to all the rest of the states, which is unconstitutional.
Fascinating how those features that you just presume are progress may actually, you're saying, have to do with a regulatory environment. Very interesting. Now, Gregory, I'd like to get your take as well on the findings.
Well, yeah, this rolls back the determination that carbon dioxide, which we consider at the CO2 Coalition to be the miracle molecule, they consider to be the demon molecule that's driving unusual and unprecedented warming. And we find that actually additional carbon dioxide in the atmosphere are providing huge benefits to ecosystems and to humanity, and we should celebrate that. We were formed 10 years ago and been working to get to this point today. And again, our name is the CO2 Coalition, and we promote the many benefits of additional CO2. Our unofficial motto is, we love CO2 and so should you. And it's by almost every metric, things are getting better, ecosystems are thriving, humanity's benefiting. If I had anything to be critical about on this ruling by Lee Zeldin, it was that there was really no science involved. But during this comment period, we'll be commenting, we're preparing that as we speak today, the detailed science backing why CO2 should be removed as a pollutant. There's a lot of science out there that's been squelched. This has been driven by science, all right, but it's political science, not true science. And so with our 200 plus PhDs and experts in physics and chemistry and geology and other sciences, we're going to be able to provide that as a matter to attach. And also, this is likely to be challenged possibly and probably all the way to the Supreme Court. And so we're willing and able to use our true experts like Dr. William Happer, Dr. Richard Lindzen, top physicists of our time, and make them available for testimony to the House, to the hearings, and to the Supreme Court when it's coming. It's inevitable. This will be challenged. This is the beginning, not the end.
I definitely want to dig into the science with you in a moment. But before we do that, Lauren, I want to get your take on this. If EPA were to repeal these findings, what would the downstream effect be overall on the economy at a macro level?
Well, I can tell you what's going to happen in all the car manufacturers. I'm actually at a car event right now. I sat next to an executive last night, and this was actually the topic that we discussed. And they're very much looking forward to some of these rules being removed, because just like your guest was saying, CO2 is actually our friend, and they've made it the demon. And the thing is that they're making product that doesn't make profits. And when they're not making profits, it impacts the entire globe. When car makers are making money, they hire people. The economy improves. There's more manufacturing. And all that is what President Trump has been working towards. So what we really want is a rising tide of everyone succeeding, and removing some of this political science, like your guest was saying. And it really is saying that all of these things that they say are bad, you can make anything bad. You can say breathing is bad. But when you really look at what the quality of what they're putting out versus what we need to have practical science. We need to realize that when you take away some of these restrictions, and we're talking like $1 trillion, that's a rising tide for not just the economy, for consumers, lower car prices, more choices, and no mandates from the federal government. Those are all positives.
Well, let's dig into that, Gregory. It appears as if there's been a scientific consensus that emissions add to pollutants, which then create CO2, which warms the climate and creates global warming. You're suggesting that pollutants may create more harm on the atmosphere potentially, but it's not the CO2 that's causing the warming, as I understand it. So could you just really, if I believe that that's scientific consensus,
let's unpack that for a moment.
Yeah, please.
Here, for number one, if you just search for two words, EPA and pollution, and see what the EPA has to say about air pollution. The 7 true pollutants have, I think it goes back to 1980. You see there was a pretty steep decline in air pollution for the first several decades, and it's still declining, but it's almost flat because our air is cleaner today than it has been since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And we should celebrate that and continue working towards that. CO2 is not the pollutant. Actually, CO2 levels today are at near historic lows. The average throughout Earth's history, we're 6.5 times what we are today. And plants and crops thrive and really do much, much better, much higher CO2 levels. Just drive by just about any commercial greenhouse and they're adding carbon dioxide. And that's the biggest benefit we see. The other thing you're talking about is this consensus. One of my favorite quotes about consensus was Dr. Richard Feynman, the PhD Nobel laureate in physics. And think about this. He said, I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned. And that's what we have in this climate change debate. We dare not question their answer, which is CO2 is bad, CO2 is driving catastrophic warming. They need to silence people like me and my colleagues at the CO2 Coalition when we provide the actual science that flies in the face of this. And so I'm excited to be working today and tomorrow. We'll be publishing our comment over the next several days, again, working with some of the top scientists and physicists in the world. It's really been a hard-fought battle. We've had the wind in our face for decades now, and now it feels like we've got a strong gale force wind at our back. And again, this is just the beginning. There are more battles to be fought here, and actually the ruling by Lee Zeldin yesterday only dealt with tailpipe, with cars and light trucks and vehicles. There are more to looked at. If your listeners and viewers right now look around, they're probably sitting in the comfort of their home. Take a look around. Anything using electricity, just about, has been under over-regulations. The ceiling fan above you, you're limited to your choices. It's more expensive, and you're limited to what the government tells you. What kind of dishwasher in your kitchen? You're limited. The government tells you what you're allowed to buy. Your washer, your dryer, how much water comes out of your shower head. They have your freedoms, and everyone listening here have been systematically reduced because of this unrational fear of this miracle molecule, carbon dioxide. And we celebrate the things that are going, and the best thing we see about increasing CO2 is increase in crop growth. That we see it exploding, setting records year after year after year, from the coldest countries to the hottest countries like India are breaking crop growth records. And part of it, we are in a warming trend. What does that mean? Since 1900, growing seasons have lengthened by more than 2 weeks in the United States. That's a really good thing for agriculture, and that's turbocharged by more CO2. And so crop growth is exploding, it's expanding and growing faster than population growth. We should, again, this is just huge benefits we see just about almost every metric we look at. We're seeing that ecosystems are thriving and prospering, and the human condition is improving, not getting worse.
Well, let's let the debate happen. Let the best science win. We appreciate you sharing your insights with us, and we look forward to your research. Gregory Wrightstone, as well as Lauren Fix, automotive expert. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.